Hey everyone, this is Matt from the Archive of Everything, and thanks for tuning into today's video. Today we're taking a break from our Stadium Tour series to take a look at a similar product to the historic Google Earth image site that I showed before. So this is a really neat website. You can kind of ignore the, once you get around the big copyrighted material signs, it's actually incredible what this site is offering for free. And also, pardon my nasal voice today. Allergies are terrible this time of year, so please bear with me on that. So we're going to go ahead and give a quick example here so you can see I've pre-populated the search bar with Disneyland. So we're going to hit go, and we're going to hit, say, 2016. So that's pretty recent, in the last 5 years, and it'll, look about what Disneyland looks like today. So we'll go ahead and wait for that to buffer here. And you can see here, up in the corner, they're building Star Wars Land and DCA and all that's down here. But what happens when we turn the clock back to, say, 1953? The thing that I think is so cool, or so incredible about this app, is the fact that, say, if you want to know what, let's say 1972 even, I think even that's really interesting. It looks like whenever this was taken, there's barely any cars in the parking lot. But then let's go back to 1953. Now remember, Disneyland opened in 1955, and you can see nothing's here. You have what was either the interstate or maybe it was just a highway at this time, and then where Disneyland and DCA and the parking lots, it's all just orange groves. It kind of just looks like fields or something like that, and you zoom out, just more and more orange groves. Now, I know everyone has heard the stories of that, and everyone knows that, oh, Disneyland used to be an orange grove. But it's just incredible to see that literally there's nothing around it when Walt Disney was building Disneyland in 1955. He was literally building it in the middle of nowhere in rural California. And then we jump again to, say, 2014. And now it's jam-packed. Disneyland is very landlocked. And there's not a whole lot here. Although the latest rumor mill does show that Disneyland, or the Disney company, is buying up this parcel here. You can see there's large parking lots and a few other things, and they're going to build a third gate or some sort of entertainment complex here, according to recently filed permits. But that is a story for another day, and my main focus on this video is going to be Disney World, because that is my favorite of the two. So we go ahead and type in Walt Disney World, and let's start again at the beginning here. The most recent they have is 2017. And we can see things look about how you would expect. If we zoom in, we can see the abandoned river country. We can see that the Magic Kingdom looks about the same. We don't quite have Tron being built yet. But let's turn the clock back to 1969, which I think is where this really gets interesting. So 1969 would have been in the middle, basically, of when they started building Disney World. I want to say all the land purchasing and whatnot was done by 1965, 66. Let's see, well, Walt Disney died in December 66. So at that point, they had announced Disney World. They had, acquired something like 95% of the land. And so 2 years later, this would make sense. You can kind of see, if you've been to the area, you can kind of recognize the arrowhead shape of Bay Lake. We can see the outline of what would be Seven Seas Lagoon, the Magic Kingdom parking lot, and I'm going to mention this little brush overgrowth here in a second here, because that's also really cool. But you can just see, again, compared to Disneyland, let's look at this in 1969. There's nothing around it. There's, and I think that's when they say they have the blessing of size. This is what they mean. There's literally an abundance of land that the company could just do whatever they wanted with. So we're going to zoom in here again, and let's see what we can see here. So I would guess that this is the train station, and so this is actually really interesting. So the Magic Kingdom is built on the second story. So in Florida, you typically don't see basements. The water level's so low. So how does the Magic Kingdom have these they call them utilidors, utility corridors? It's because all the water and sludge and everything else, not all the water, all the dirt that they dug up from the Seven Seas Lagoon and bottoming out Bay Lake, they just poured right here into the outline of the Magic Kingdom and kind of created a second level, if you would. That's why the Magic Kingdom has a huge berm around it. It's, it's set just tons and tons of dirt. So I would assume that some of these things that we see here kind of spiraling out, besides the fact that they're roads, would also be maybe some of the utilidor passages. It looks like at this point they're building some of the structure. My best guess, it's actually very, very difficult to ascertain. Let's kind of jump ahead to 2010 as a cheat code. I thought that was the Haunted Mansion. So we can see the Haunted Mansion show building 1969. You can kind of see the outline of it here. I'm not sure what this square building would be. It's a small world. That's really cool. It was a brand new attraction and e-ticket in 1969. There's the center of the park. We'll go ahead and jump to, 2007. Okay, so this is the castle, this circular object here, and then this is what I was so curious about before. So that's really interesting. It's really hard to tell why it just kind of looks like a giant box here. So obviously, besides the copyright signs, it's just, a 1969 photograph. So the quality will vary, but I mean, for being from 1969, this was 99% probably shot with some sort of airplane. This is really cool. Let's go ahead and jump back even farther, though. I'm sure you all wondered, 1952, we thought it looked weird then. Good luck trying to be able to tell. Besides for Bay Lake, this just looks like nothing. So the Magic Kingdom's rough outline would be kind of this dried area. Seven Seas Lagoon is about right here. The Contemporary Resort is right here. So you have where Bay Lake Tower is kind of this jut out right here. Then the main structure would be here. And then you can see, this is what I was talking about before, this overgrowth. This circular, maybe it's a swampy area. If we jump to 1980, you can see that's still there in the Magic Kingdom parking lot. But even, way back in 1952, it looks exactly the same. 1969, they're digging out where the parking lot is, but they left this overgrowth of trees. 2017, it's even still there. It's just absolutely incredible. And then the sort of trees and everything. Another thing I'd like to point out, so we go to 1995, Discovery Island would have still been open, along with River Country, which would probably be about right here, and some of this stuff that's kind of jutting out. We can see some watercraft and everything else, maybe taking people to and from Discovery Island. Go back to 1980, maybe there will be a little bit less growth. 1969, you can see they have totally bottomed out the lake. And then in 1952, what's really cool is you can see that the island is actually cleared. A man actually used to live on Discovery Island. It's gone through quite a few different names. I actually have a really old video on the island that you could check out on it. But really cool just to see this historical imagery where you can actually see where the gentleman had, cleared some of the land. Maybe it looks like he has a little dock right here. And I do wonder if that dock lasted. Okay, we can see. It's actually kind of interesting that the 1952 photograph seems to be a little better quality than 1969. It looks like it may be there in 1980. That's actually really incredible. So the Disney company, it's probably not the same dock, but the dock that they built is in the exact same location as the gentleman's dock who used to live there in the 1950s. In 2010, the island, it just overgrown. They probably removed the dock at this point. You can kind of see some of the structures here. It looks like something maybe right here. But other than that, there's not a whole lot there. Let's go ahead and try to bounce right. Yep, that's definitely River Country. Right about there. So if we jump back to 1980, River Country is here. Things look a lot more cleared out. Maybe 1995 will have a little bit better. Yeah, you can see River Country, the beach and whatnot when you're actually allowed to go swimming in the water. The River Country Water Park closed in 2001, or maybe it's 2003. I also have a video on that, so you can feel free to check that out. We can see this is probably about as best of a shot as we're going to get. You can see this was kind of a dam that they built between, it's a natural water swimming pool and the lake. You can see the other levee part here. We can see what looks like a natural pool here, some of the water slides, and then you would just take the walk the trail and everything in from Fort Wilderness Lodge. 2007, so this would be about, say, 5 years after. We can see things are looking a little rough. The image actually gets kind of blurry between 02 and 07. 2010, definitely getting, the water's very brown. It looks like it's looking a little murkier on the edges. 2013, still not too much. 2017, we can just see that's just absolutely overgrown. And if you look, you kind of zoom out, they are building a new Disney Vacation Club resort right on top of where this used to be. I think it's called Reflections, is what the map just told us a second ago. So probably for the better, Disney's just erasing an old scar, but kind of cool just to see that overgrowth. 1980 looking fine, 2002 the pool's still there, and then by 2017 it's like nothing was ever there. And then here's the campground and everything. Let's go ahead and move on down to Epcot. So Epcot was built and opened in 1982. So if we go to 1980, we'll probably see, construction. We can see the kind of the vague outline of the World Showcase, but not a whole lot else. It looks like maybe this, I would say that's the World of Motion or Test Track Pavilion right there. It's interesting that that's one of the first things that was built. Judging by the outline, probably Spaceship Earth would be about right here. If we hit, it's too bad that they don't have anything in the mid-80s. The next step is 1995. Yep, we can see just about everything's right there. By 1999, are we going to get a color photograph? No, not quite. That's definitely interesting. So let's look at 1980 again. There's really not a ton to learn. Let's see, 1995. I'm just trying to judge what buildings these would even be. Yeah, these may just be backstage buildings. One of these would be Norway. This, actually, this may be the Norway Pavilion right here. I think these just may be backstage buildings. Or maybe that's Mexico. That may be Mexico, and Norway may be down here. Definitely kind of hard to tell on some of these grainier photos. Okay, right here is Norway. Alright, now let's see. We'll go back here to 95. Yep, okay, so cool, I was right. We can see Communicore or Interventions, and then they're actually tearing that down now. I believe it's this half of it that's torn down, so it kind of ruins Epcot's perfectly symmetrical sides. That's not Horizons, this is Horizons. Universe of Energy is now becoming the Guardians of the Galaxy roller coaster. Just a big blue box they're building right here, so this is just kind of going to hold the lines and maybe a pre-show, and then the actual roller coaster will be out here. Interestingly enough, is that also missing? Yeah, we're probably going to see between 1999 and say 2015, we can see the addition of the show buildings for the Soarin' attraction. But other than that, there's really not a ton to see. We can see some of the empty spaces that they left for countries that were never built. Equatorial Guinea, a few Central Africa, maybe a few countries that never did get constructed. Go back to 1980 again. This whole hotel complex that's kind of surrounding Epcot isn't even there. Let's jump to 2015 so I can actually tell what's going on again. So Animal Kingdom, what did the Animal Kingdom look like in 1952? I'm guessing just a giant swamp. It's just really interesting the way that, you can just kind of tell where the parks are. I assume, it's kind of outlined, it's already pre-cleared. You wonder if that was for, maybe farming, or if this was just more dry land and this is the swampy part. But I would assume when they're scaling out locations to build the parks, they say, okay, I see that this area, provides, plenty of space. Walt Disney World, horticulture, so this is where they grow the mature trees. That's also really cool. I've never noticed that before. And finally, let's jump to Hollywood Studios. So that's going to be right here, if I'm right. Yep, we can see the kind of a blurry photo again. So modern day photo, we can see that's actually kind of a cool jump. In 2010, you still have the studio backlot tour. Let's see, Catastrophe Canyon, the Lights Motor Action Stunt Show and everything. You jump to, say, 2013, still there. 2017, half the park is just demolished because that's where they built Star Wars Land and Toy Story. So that park has definitely gone through a lot of change, but it does remain one of my favorites of all time. So the park would have opened in 1989. So here in 1980, we can see Epcot still being constructed, and the future home of Hollywood Studios is, again, just kind of wetlands and whatnot. 1995, I believe the Tower of Terror would have opened in 1993, so if I had to guess, this kind of blob right there would be the Tower of Terror. Okay, it's up here. 1980, nothing. 1995, yeah, it looks like we can kind of see the shadow of the building there. It's really cool. And then it used to be the world's largest hidden Mickey at the center of the park. You have Echo Lake, where Gertie the dinosaur is the right ear. You can see the kind of looks like a shadow, but it's actually the roof of this building that was painted. Was the left ear, but I think they've since maybe added onto the building or get rid of the paint on the roof. And then Mickey's smile and eyes were a lot more visible, but trees, and then they built the sorcerer hat and kind of ripped up the pavers and all that, so it doesn't quite look the same. But yeah, really cool stuff here. You could look at your hometown, you could look at, if you're curious about, I don't know, New York City or anything, it's really cool. This company does sell the prints, if you wanted, Epcot in 1980 under construction, I suppose you could buy the image. But after a while, your eyes just kind of start to ignore this copyrighted material, and you can see some really cool stuff. So this has been a quick look at the historic imagery of Walt Disney World by aerials by Net-R Online. I'm sure I'm saying that really wrong, so shout out to that company. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you all very soon.